is preparing us for something great in the year that is ahead of us. And the verse that God gave us in this year as we prepared for next year is what I want to share with us today. It is found in the book of Isaiah, chapter number 54, verse number 2.
Ilikuwanga hard kung'ang'ana hapa na hapa, lakini by the God's grace tukamaliza.
2016 was a very good year. Many doors were opened and I thank God for that.
2017 naona kuna hope. If I could speak for the country, for Kenya, naona kuna hope.
I'm so happy because God has been taking me from this level to another level, and I expect, actually, I pray that next year for me is going to be an awesome year. I thank God for you and Kenya. Please, let's pray for this year and for the leadership of this country. Amen.
A very warm welcome and thank you so much for watching another informative episode of the Chamwada Report. I do hope that you enjoyed your festive season. My name is Elijah Mwangi. I'm here with my co-host and producer, Alex Chamwada. Alex, how was your holiday, by the way?
Elijah, my holiday was awesome. I had time off to travel to my village. That is a Longo village in Vihiga County, to have some time, some moment with my extended family. It was a reconnection moment. We had time together, about 3 days together, and even got a chance to taste organic chicken. We call it engoko in Maragoni.
Engoko?
Yeah, in the other Luya dialects, they say ingoko. And one of my aunties even gave me one to carry back to the city. So I came back to the city the other day.
That's nice. Now, talking of New Year, and New Year comes with resolutions. Do you have some resolutions that you've made?
Well, one of my key resolutions is to expand Cham's Media so that we are in a position to give our esteemed viewers more content, and not just any other content, but inspiring content and stories that transform lives. And for you, what's your resolution?
Amazing. They say that your networks determine your net worth. For me, I just want to concentrate on expanding my network. Or my networks. Rather.
And this is the year.
This is the year.
To grow your networks.
But now holiday season is done. Time for work. And on this particular episode of the Chamwada Report, we are looking at sustainable urbanization and how cities are turning out to be key engines for economic growth.
We will be sampling what various African countries are doing in order to make cities engines of economic growth. And to help us put this subject into perspective is the Executive Director of UN Habitat.
One thing that generates value is the quality of the fabric of the city. You need public space in order to create roads, because in order to generate value for the plots, every plot must be very well connected.
We will also go presidential. We will be sampling the commitments by various African presidents on making cities engines of economic growth.
We want our people to attain a high standard of living underpinned by a well-developed, competitive industrial economy.
Much of the house building will be private sector led, but government is initiating a pilot housing scheme of 2,838 units.
All right, and talking about 2017 and new things, Elijah, let us take a moment and highlight some of the projects and events that are expected to transform lives on the continent. Let me begin with Kenya's standard gauge railway. It is expected to be completed in July this year, 2017. It is one of the mega projects that are expected to contribute to industrialization and free movement of goods and people in the wider context of economic growth.
We are looking at SGR as an economic corridor. We are not looking at it as a railway corridor.
Something else to look out for this year, 2017, is the Africa Union Summit. Remember, this time it's big for Kenyans because the current Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary, Amina Mohamed, will be seeking to be elected as the chair of the Africa Union Commission. Whether that one will happen or not, it remains to be a matter of wait and see. But remember, Africa Union also plays a key role in sustainable urbanization.
Urbanization which is taking place on the continent has to be coordinated.
Finally, all eyes will be on Ghana, where President Mahama is expected to hand over power to President-elect Nana Akufo-Addo. And remember, Ghana has been key in funding the Sustainable Urbanization Initiative in Africa, spearheaded by UN Habitat.
I believe that we can use urbanization as a tool for modernization. One, in terms of the fact that it creates concentrated markets for development of agriculture. Aside from that, the movement of people into urban centers stimulates economic activity.
Remember, you're watching the Chamwada report. Today we are focusing on urbanization, but before that, we want to have some inspirational moments. 2017 is here, and to give us some inspirational moments is none other than the former Deputy Israeli Ambassador to Kenya, Gilad Milo. Thank you so much for finding time for us.
Thanks for having me.
2017 is here. Maybe we should start with your New Year resolutions, if you have any.
My New Year's resolution is to talk less and do more this year.
That's quite powerful. 2016 is done. It's 2017 now. Anything that you expect to change?
Things change all the time. You know, I mean, life is evolving. It's like you don't jump into the same stream twice. So on a personal level, you know, I'm on this wonderful journey and it's changing all the time. And as Kenya, I think this is time. You know, it's like we always say this is our year or this is our time, because in the now it is. But this is Kenya's time in all, of course in music in my opinion, but in many, many other ways, in the energy that you're feeling in the country, in the look in the eyes of the youth, that they feel like, challenge me, I'm up to it, I can do it, you know? So I'm very optimistic for 2017. My optimistic musical message is I'm gonna release a new album. And the first song on it will be the song that changed my life, but that was released in 2015. The beautiful thing is that that song's still playing on the radio, which is Unajua. So like this. Sema, mpenzi how you been? Umepotelea wapi? Umefanya nini? Na nani? Unajua, ati babe, it's cold outside. Pansy, won't you come inside? You don't have to hide your love.
That was a light moment with the former Israeli Deputy Ambassador to Kenya, Gilad Milo, who is now a prominent musician here in the country. Alex tells me that during the holiday season, he traveled and he met one of the contributors to the Chamwada report. I'm talking about Eugene Anangwe, who sends his report from Rwanda. And here is that conversation that they had in Butere, Western Kenya.
I think people have now are slowly killing this, nuclear that, bonded us so much, and that is the village. Today, the village is no longer the village that we knew long ago. Today, you see electricity back here at home. The taste of the village. We don't see the fireflies.
Technology has changed things with the phones,
Yes.
WhatsApp.
A lot has changed,
internet,
even infrastructure, Alex. Even infrastructure. Ushago is no longer the Ushago we used to know. The Ushago where you had, so much of sugarcane plantation. I'm sure when you walk around, you don't see the sugarcane plantation anymore. So the environment, the ambience of Ushago is no longer Ushago.
It's not Ushago.
Yes.
What's happening in Kigali?
What's happening right now in Kigali when it comes to the growth is the push for locally made, the consumption of locally made products. The Made in Rwanda campaign, because now they want to support their local industries. Don't be shocked when, we go to Kigali and you cannot find certain products you used to take in Kenya and you are served with the local ones. And this is going to be good because it will boost the production and the producers of this local product.
Yes. We have to end it there.
Yes.
One key message to the Chamwada Report viewers.
Wow. The Chamwada Report viewers, amazing people. So we're looking forward to your support come 2017, and we want to wish you a happy new year. Stay well. Sindio?
Thank you. Lazima tumalize. turudi Nairobi sasa.
Sindio, mrudi Nairobi, mirudi Kigali.
Turudi Nairobi sisi,
Yes.
wewe urudi Kigali.
Yes.
Safari njema.
Asante sana.
Bye bye ndugu. Asante.
Let's keep the conversation going. And remember, today we are talking about sustainable urbanization.
Indeed, the continent, that is Africa, is rapidly getting urbanized. And let us now get deeper into how urbanization can be tapped into as a development tool with Eric Latif.
Africa is experiencing rapid urbanization. Statistics indicate that the continent's population is 1.2 billion people and is expected to triple in the next 50 years. It is projected that in 2050, the continent's urban population will reach 60%.
That poses quite a number of challenges, mainly the capacity of the governments to plan the urbanization. And then when the capacity of the governments cannot match the speed of urbanization, then the tendency is that urbanization tends to develop in a spontaneous urbanization.
In the past, urbanization used to be looked at negatively as a threat to development. But today, urbanization is becoming a powerful tool for development, with the United Nations Human Settlements Programme, UN Habitat, spearheading the rallying call for governments to consider cities as key engines for economic development.
Urbanization generates value. This is something that it's a kind of extraordinary aspect of urbanization. When you have a piece of land and during the night you change the catalogation of this land, and from being rural you catalog it as urban, the price of the land has multiplied by 10.
The African Union is sensitizing its members to raise the profile of urbanization as a force for Africa's development, as spelled out in what is known as Agenda 2063, a long-term regional agenda to achieve development in 5 decades.
First, urbanization which is taking place on the continent has to be coordinated. We have to ensure that there is infrastructure to be able to cope, that people have got sustainable housing. And of course, we also need to ensure that there are jobs, because there's no point people being urbanized, leaving the rural areas to go to the cities only to find that they can't work.
This process will be supported by Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and the new Urban Agenda that was adopted during the United Nations Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urbanization in Quito, Ecuador. So, what are the presidential initiatives in place to ensure sustainable urbanization in Africa? And what are the successes so far? In Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama's administration has placed emphasis on decongesting the country's capital city, Accra, in order to ease traffic flow and movement of people. The government is now removing roundabouts and replacing them with interchanges, with the main one being the Kwame Nkrumah Circle.
The general area of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange is a commercial area, very commercial area. There are banks. The main vehicle station that takes people between the 2 major cities in Ghana, that is Accra and Kumasi, is located at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. And so it's an area of general economic activity. And so putting the interchange there and allowing people to move freely in that area, I'm sure would stimulate the economy of Accra as the capital city.
Another milestone in Ghana is in the area of urban renewal and putting in place policies to enhance affordable housing for low-income earners and the urban poor.
And Habitat has been a very strong partner in terms of sharing best practices and experiences with us.
Still in West Africa, we shift focus to Liberia. The country may still be reeling from the impact of the past political instability, but President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is optimistic the country's urban agenda will bear fruit, with the capital city Monrovia becoming an important economic hub.
Liberia's population is relatively small, 3.8 million, and with our vast resources, mineral, agriculture, marine, oil, the potential for becoming one of the fastest growing economies is there, and I think that's already been recognized.
Like any other country, Liberia's urban road network is an important driver of the economy the government is investing in.
We have such potential for diversity that Liberia's economy should grow very rapidly within the next decade.
Seychelles, on the other hand, has embarked on an economic transformation program in collaboration with development partners to empower urban dwellers with skills that can enable them participate in wealth creation, apart from providing them with the necessary social amenities.
Today, the Seychellois have skills, enough skills to understand what is good for them, skills to be able to participate in the economic development. And this has been our forte because we have a well-educated people, we have invested in people, they have proper housing, and now they understand where they are, where they have been, where they are, and where they should be aiming to go in the future.
More important for Seychelles is investment that can be banked on for the future.
We have continued to encourage foreign direct investment. A lot of companies, a lot of people have invested in Seychelles, and this has provided the economic force to be able to generate enough economic activity. And at the same time, enable our people to be able to participate in it.
In Uganda, the government's focus is on improving the road network to link rural areas with urban areas.
We have worked on the roads, the trunk roads, linking the towns. We have worked a little bit on the urban roads, not as much as we would like to do. The housing is mainly done by the private sector as of now, because we have been concentrating on electricity and the roads.
For South Africa, President Jacob Zuma's administration is putting emphasis on innovation in the energy sector.
We have said, let us produce energy from solar, we continue with the coal, but also increasing the wind, using the wind, but using also the hydro. So the combination of these was not there before. In the process, they employ people, but also we raise the volume of energy. We are, for example, training our people, skilling them for the purposes of industrialization.
The construction of the standard gauge railway in Kenya, on the other hand, is expected to spur the growth of economic zones. The mega project is expected to boost job creation besides easing movement of people and goods, especially between urban centers.
We want our people to attain a high standard of living underpinned by a well-developed, competitive industrial economy. Presently, our region relies almost exclusively on road transport, whose maintenance costs is not only high, but unsustainable.
In the housing sector, the Kenyan government has approved housing sector and real estate market incentives that attract the participation of the private sector in the housing delivery process, particularly for low-income earners. Rwanda's urban areas, including the city of Kigali, are also undergoing a noticeable facelift. Through private-public partnership, the housing sector is growing. The road network has improved too.
We have entrenched decentralization and decision-making in which citizens participate. They have been able to determine what happens during this movement from rural to urban areas, and it has been very effective to make sure that the planning happens in a proper way and that citizens are educated on the challenge involved, but also the benefits.
We cross over to Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation. President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has embarked on an economic revival strategy that is centered on provision of critical infrastructure of power, roads, transport network, and housing development.
Much of the house building will be private sector led, but government is initiating a pilot housing scheme of 2,838 units uniformly spread across the 36 states and the FCT. We expect these units to be completed within 46 months. These experimental Nigeria house model units will be constructed using only made in Nigeria building materials and components. This initiative is expected to reactivate the building materials manufacturing sector, generate massive employment opportunities, and develop sector capacity and expertise.
In Guinea, President Alpha Condé says that one of the key economic pillars this administration is giving priority to is agriculture, which has a linkage with sustainable urbanization because the growing population has to be fed.
Guinea can become an export country, and in the future, food will be more important than fuel because population is growing and food is not enough to feed the population, and my priority is agriculture.
Then there is the role of the youth and women in development, and President Ali Bongo of Gabon says this is something his administration is placing great emphasis on.
We've been proven, in many countries that, as formidable manpower, women. They're more dedicated to their jobs, when they really have one, and they perform better. So if we want to have the chance to develop our country, it's important, to focus this different group, and to make sure that everybody really stands and have a chance. And this is what I'm trying to do now. I'm build my whole new strategy based on that.
Besides presidential initiatives, the role of development partners like the African Development Bank cannot be ignored.
We are investing quite a lot in energy because, you can't have urbanization without electricity. And that's why we launched a program called the New Deal on Energy for Africa to provide universal access to electricity in Africa by, 2025. Secondly is that we are supporting a lot of infrastructure in water, in sanitation, very, very important in urban areas. The bank also, as you know, supports the development of low-cost housing in many urban areas.
And these are the key messages worth emphasizing. Urban economies are critical for national and regional economic growth. Planned urbanization is essential for Africa's structural transformation and achievement of Agenda 2063. Sustainable urbanization requires effective urban governance and legislation. And public space, including streets, is the core of well-functioning urban centers.
And that marks the end of our show. Looking forward to greater things in the year 2017.
And in this show, we discussed sustainable urbanization, specifically looking at how cities can be turned into engines of economic growth.
Yes, indeed. So thank you so much for being with us. Here at Champs Media, it's never about us, it's all about you. And I'll leave you with inspirational moments from Gilad Milo.
Unajua sema mpenzi hayupe, sijui nisemeje, niko poa, I miss you, imagine, ajui kunipala, I don't know why I ever left.